Hey, this is the Geek Protagonist, and I kind of wanted to do a video more kind of just talk about, wonder if you heard about, going with this thing. So, talking about the rebranding from the Quaker Oats thing of Aunt Jemima. So, I did a little quick history search. I know another part that I don't know if you were aware of, so I wanted to kind of connect the dots, give you a little history, and just to see what you all think. The creator of the formula for the pancakes is Christian Ludwig Ruth. Uh, Now he came up with the recipe. You can find the recipe like on all over the place how they do it now. But he also came up with the name, or speculate that he came up with the name Aunt Jemima, which pretty much he did. Now, what they're saying is that he attended a white minstrel show. You don't know what that is? Just look it up. Where the song Old Aunt Jemima was performed, and the minstrels had red bandanas and wore aprons. Now, there is a thing saying that there is an inconsistency. Some people are disputing that, saying he actually saw a vaudevillain, more kind of style show where someone was in blackface and it was by a German man and he got it there. But they all said that the name, of course, came from the song. He was mostly a journalist, actually, for a lot of his career from my research. And I basically eventually bought the Pearl Milling Co. In St. Joseph, Missouri, trademarked, uh, and eventually he sold it to R.T. Davis Milling Co. They hired Nancy Green to portray the character, how they got off the ground. Basically, the original guys, which was Ludwig and Wright, they took their excess flour, packaged it in white paper sacks, trademarked it as the first ready mix, and then sold them as that, saying it's the first pancake ready mix. It still started to fall, so they ended up selling everything to the Davis Mill & Co. Uh, Eventually, Davis Mill & Co. renamed themselves Aunt Jemima Mills in 1913. They were bought by Quaker Oats in 1926. They registered a trademark in 1937. They did the syrup in 1966. Then they did light syrup in 85 and the butteridge syrup in 91. Things like that. So, minstrel shows were not having people of my persuasion in the best light, let's just say. Now, I want to go through. Now, there's some other factors in there. So, here's where one of the big controversies comes from. It's idolization of plantation life. Now, the reason why I'm going through this, because I've noticed that people have been talking about it and they don't seem to have the full story. They're kind of a little confused. But it says one interpretation is that Aunt Jemima embodied an early 20th century idolized domesticity that was inspired by old Southern hospitality. There were others that capitalized on this theme, such as Uncle Ben's Rice and Cream of Wheat's Rastus. The backdrop to the trademark of Aunt Jemima is a romanticized view of antebellum plantation life. The myth surrounding Aunt Jemima's secret recipe, family life, and plantation life as a happy slave contributes to the post-Civil War idealisms of Southern life and the America's developing consumer culture. Early advertisement used in Aunt Jemima paper doll family as an advertisement to sell the product. Aunt Jemima is represented with her husband, Rastus, whose name was later changed to Uncle Mose to avoid the confusion with the Cream of Wheat character, and their 5 children: Abraham, Lincoln, Dilsey, Zeb, and Dina. The doll family was barefoot and dressed in tattered clothing, with the possibility to see them transform from rags to riches by buying another box with civilized clothing cutouts. Interesting. Now, they got where they got the logo from. The original version of the current Aunt Jemima logo was designed by H. Gene Miller, but he wasn't officially credited. He also designed the original version of the current San Grillo Pasta Company logo. James Jaffe, a freelance artist from the Bronx, New York, also designed one of the images of Aunt Jemima used by Quaker Oats to market the product into the mid 20th century. Just as the formula for the mix has changed several times over the years, so has Aunt Jemima's image been modified several times. In 1968, she was slimmed down from her previous appearance, depicting a more svelte look and wearing a white collar with a geometric print headband still resembling her previous kerchief. In 1989, as she marked her 100th anniversary, her image was again updated with all head covering removed, revealing wavy gray streaked hair and gold trimmed pearl earrings and replacing her plain white collar with lace. At the time, the revised image was described as a move towards a more sophisticated depiction, with Quaker marketing the change as giving her a more contemporary look, which remains on the products as of 2020, which we now know is changing. Outside the United States, the character still has her original Mammy personality in advertisement, and she's still referred to as the aunt. So, Jemima's character is based off of the common stereotype of mammies. They're usually the ones that have the headbands. Well, even how this puts it, a character in minstrel shows in the late 1800s. Her skin is dark and dewy with pearl white smiles. She wears a scarf over her head and polka dot dress with white collar, similar to the common attire of physical features of mammy characters throughout history. A character named Aunt Jemima appeared on stage in Washington as early as 1864. The inspiration for Aunt Jemima's was Billy Curson's American-style minstrel vaudevillain song, "Old Aunt Jemima." Rhett reportedly saw this, and then I already went through that. So, what's interesting is that now there's a lot of people who go, "Hey, I don't really, understand." Now there's some other aspects to this. So after they did this, they say that the R.T. Davis, and I found some information that was semi-conflicting because my grandmom taught me a little bit about Aunt Jemima, but she taught me about Anna Short Harrington. I'll get to her in a second, or in a little bit. The R.T. Davis Milling Company hired Nancy Green as a spokesperson for Aunt Jemima pancake mix in 1890 until her death in August 30th, 1923. Nancy Green was born a slave in Montgomery County, Kentucky. As Jemima, Green appeared beside the world's largest flour barrel, operating a pancake cooking display. In 1893, World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, Illinois, marketing the materials of the line and the products and the Mammy archetype, including the slogan first used at that exposition is "In town, honey." That's how it reads off. Young African American women were being exploited by white men. She predicted the appeal of Aunt Jemima and the Southern domestic ideal. Went to describe the fascination of Southern traditions as part of America's unwritten history. Progressive African American women post-emancipation saw Aunt Jemima's image as a setback that inspired the regression in race relations. Now, I do know she was being celebrated because of just how everything was viewed, and I'm trying to find it. Now, I know Anna Short Harrington, there was a wild history with that. This talks about it a little bit when the lawsuit came up, but here we go. Here's some stuff here. So, as they start to go through, we got Lillian Richard, a native of Folk, Texas, was hired to portray Aunt Jemima in 1925 and remained in the role until she suffered a stroke in 1947. Richard is honored with the State of Texas historical marker in her hometown, Wood County, Texas. Anna Robinson was hired to play Aunt Jemima at the 1933 Century Progress Chicago's World's Fair, and was sent to New York. And Lord Thomas to have her picture taken. Never to be forgotten was the day they loaded 350 pounds of Anna Robinson on the 20th Century Limited. Other photos showing Robinson making pancakes for celebrities and used it in advertising, ranked among the highest read at their time. Now, here's a big one, and this is where I said the story gets kind of choppy. Anna Short Harrington, born in 1897 in Marlborough County, South Carolina, began her career as Aunt Jemima in 1935. She had to support 5 children, and she moved with her family to Syracuse, New York, where she cooked for a living. Quaker Oats discovered her when she was cooking at a fair, an ad in Women's Home Companion in November 1935. Let old auntie sing you a kitchen. Read that wrong. Let old auntie sing in yo kitchen. It was her picture with the bandana used on Quaker Oats products. Harrington continued to play the role for 14 years, and she made enough money to buy a large house and rent rooms. The house was demolished to make way for the Interstate 81. Harrington died in 1955. According to John Troy McQueen, author of Storytime and Aunt Jemima, she really was famous for cooking her pancakes. Now, some of the research that I got was actually talking about she actually went around as Aunt Jemima, and a lot of the ideas that started to be based, from what I gathered, was actually based around her and Anna, and like some of the more things that are known for Aunt Jemima. Even though Nancy was the first, apparently Anna was like for a lot of the things. So I'm trying to think if I can think of an analogy. Okay, I know this is going to sound funky, but this is the one that comes to mind. So Superman's considered the first hero, yet there was the Shadow who had powers. The Phantom seemed to be mysterious. There was Mandrake the Magician. So there was a guy also named Hugo Danner who was around several years before Superman. When Superman was back in the day, he used to jump, had super strength, all these things. Well, this guy Hugo Danner had all that before he came around by like several years. But you see what I mean? But Superman was the one that exploded on the scene. He's the one that's known and all that. So it's kind of a similar situation to that, but everybody acknowledges Nancy. There was also Ethel Ernstine Harper, Aunt Jemima during the 50s. She was the first Aunt Jemima to be depicted on TV and the final living person basis for Aunt Jemima image until it was changed to composite in the 60s. She worked as a traveling Aunt Jemima on behalf of the Quaker Company. Rosie Moore portrayed Aunt Jemima during the 50s. Aunt Jemima character received the key to the city of Albion, Michigan on January 25th, 1964. An actress playing Aunt Jemima visited Albany many times for fundraisers. Now, there was a lawsuit for the descendants of Anna Short Harrington saying that they did not receive all of the money that was there, and they tried to sue Quaker Oats and the PepsiCo for $2 billion. Now, the reason being is the suit, which was also named the defendants of Pinnacle Foods and the former suitor, Hillshire Brands, accused the company of failing to pay Harrington and her heirs an equitable fair share of royalties from the pancake mix and syrup brand that uses her likeness and recipes. Lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice and without leaving to amend on February 18, 2015. So apparently there was something going on where, that's why I said the information started to conflict, because some of the changes that some people are stating is that Anna actually contributed a lot to their recipes, because she was, when she got picked up, she was known for her pancakes, her syrup, the whole thing, and they changed their recipes with her. So, but I think when the people came in, from what I seen at the court, there was no evidence. So basically, when it comes to Aunt Jemima, it seems as though, and people have been wanting this removed for years. So now Quaker Oats, with everything going on, has finally decided after like 130 years that they're going to change it and they're going to call it something else, and they are going to get rid of the picture. So I'm going to talk about the other two as well, but I just want to know, because Aunt Jemima did have some bases in sensitive racial things, but it also did give a lot of black people, especially women, a way to like come up and keep going and basically get jobs that made them very famous, made them a lot of money. So what I'm curious about is that, what do you think they should call the rebranding, and what do you think about the whole thing with Aunt Jemima being removing the imagery and the whole thing, even though there is some speculation that a lot of the more current things from the 30s on was actually things taken from, I think, Anna and a few others. I mean, we don't know for certain. I mean, there's even a mystery for Christian Rutt about how he got the name, whether it was the Vaudevillain show or a minstrel show. So there's some mystery there, and I'm just curious. I think it's fine. It's okay to rebrand if you feel as though there's an insensitivity. I do feel as though this more was a response towards the climate, even though they've been asked to do this for a very long time, and they did try to compensate but without fully changing. But now my question is this: Does it hurt people or black people because she is still a face that was a representative towards that? And I do know of the bad American history with the slave and everything. Do you think that they should try to do something to still keep the logo of a black person representative, but maybe get rid of the Aunt Jemima name and everything and rebrand it, but still, because its history is very rich in the black community, maybe do something else towards that to be a little bit more respectful? Tell me what names and stuff you can think of. I for some weird reason I thought of love syrup, and immediately I was like, nope. um, but like maybe southern syrup, maybe good old southern syrup or something like that. I don't know. Um, I usually kind of float between a few syrups. I know they did the thing with Land Lakes. Um, and I know some people question, well, what does that do? When it's something kind of racial, sometimes that removal will make people feel better. Uh, does this make you feel better that now they've removed Aunt Jemima? Does it make a huge difference? Do you consider this a win? Do you consider this a big step in the right direction that you were removing it? I personally feel as though it's okay to remove that because there's a lot of connotations with some past bad history that has made it through this far. But I do think that there should possibly still be black representation on there because it helped out a lot of black women throughout, to the point where some of them got around the jets and they were talking about that. If you go research it, you'll see it. Like they got treated, like royalty for the time for what it could be. Got to meet celebrities, do a lot of things that got them to provide for their families. So I was just curious. But this the geek protagonist. I just want to hear what you guys think. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it'd be cool if they did keep a black woman on there. But yeah, I could see why they would change. They would need to change it. But from the research I had, it does seem like there was a possibility that they took some of the recipes from these different women. But speculation overall. Take it with a grain of salt. But if you research it yourself, you'll see what I'm saying, and that's why I said there's some inconsistencies. But this is the geek protagonist. You stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real. Before I go, I did hear that the people that run Uncle Ben are thinking about changing that too. All right, stay safe, stay healthy, stay real, and I'll see you. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos, if you like what I'm doing. Please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.